Jammu and Kashmir is vibrant, diverse, ambitious, future-focused, full of life. Welcome to Heaven on Earth.
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. US President Joe Biden knocks his 2024 Republican opponent Trump over NATO. In his State of the Union address, Biden pledges support for Ukraine. US plans for temporary port on Gaza coast for aid delivery. Meanwhile, UN says more aid to Gaza is obviously good. Sweden officially becomes a member of NATO, marking a significant shift in its national security stance. Biden welcomes Sweden's membership, says it will make NATO stronger. Terror strikes in northeast Nigeria. Suspected insurgents abduct dozens of pupils from school, the biggest abduction targeting a school since 2021. World celebrates International Women's Day today, a day to celebrate the achievements of women in every field. This year's theme is Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress, and it is aimed at tackling economic disempowerment. US President Joe Biden vowed to restore Roe v. Wade that supports the right to choose as the law of the land again if Americans send him to Congress. Biden began the State of the Union address saying that his purpose is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment. He pushed that Democrats are protecting reproductive rights, with First Lady Jill Biden inviting LaToya Beasley, an Alabama woman whose IVF treatment was halted among the state Supreme Court's decision, and Kate Cox, who had to leave Texas to receive an abortion after carrying a fetus with what doctors said was a fatal condition, as two of her guests.
Alert the American people that now it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either. Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today. What makes our moment rare is that freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas at the very same time. Clearly, those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women, but they found out when reproductive freedom was on the ballot. We won in 2022 and 2020, and we'll win again in 2024. If you, the American people, send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again.
Biden, who is a Democrat, accused Trump and Republicans of trying to rewrite history about January 6, 2021 Capitol riot by the former president's supporters seeking to overturn Biden's 2020 victory.
History is watching, just like history watched 3 years ago on January 6th, when insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat of American democracy. Many of you were here on that darkest of days. We all saw with our own eyes the insurrectionists were not patriots. They'd come to stop the peaceful transfer of power, to overturn the will of the people. January 6th lies about the 2020 election and the plots to steal the election posed a gravest threat to U.S. democracy since the Civil War. But they failed.
Biden highlighted what will also be likely the campaign issues, including the immigration bill that is stalled by Republicans in Congress. US will be constructing a port in Gaza to get more humanitarian aid into the territory by sea. The temporary port will increase the amount of humanitarian assistance to Palestinians by hundreds of additional truckloads per day. US President, in his State of the Union address, made the announcement. However, it will not include US troops on the ground in Gaza. Meanwhile, after the US announced plans to build a seaport, United Nations said international focus should be on large-scale distribution and entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza by land. But anyway, delivery of more aid is obviously good. United Nations has also warned that at least 576,000 people in Gaza are on the brink of famine. Several countries airdrop aid into Gaza as famine concerns mount. US and its Middle East allies are ramping up airdrops of food aid into Gaza. US military carried out its third airdrop of aid into Gaza, dropping more than 38,000 meals. In joint efforts with other countries like France, Belgium, Jordanian armed forces also dropped aid over Gaza aimed at unfolding humanitarian catastrophe in the crowded coastal enclave. In a statement, the armed forces said they carried out 9 aid airdrops in the northern Gaza Strip. Sweden officially became a member of NATO, marking a significant shift in its national security stance. In his State of the Union address, President Joe Biden welcomed Sweden as the newest member of NATO, stating that now the alliance is stronger than ever.
America is a founding member of NATO, the military alliance of democratic nations, created after World War II to prevent war and keep the peace. And today, we've made NATO stronger than ever. We welcomed Finland to the alliance last year. And just this morning, Sweden officially joined.
Former US President Donald Trump is aiming to seize control of the Republican National Committee later on Friday in a vote that is expected to approve his nominees, including his daughter-in-law. It comes as the former president tries to fund his presidential re-election campaign and pay for his mounting legal fee. Nick Harper gets us details from Washington.
The Republican National Committee leadership vote in Houston, Texas, is expected to further reinforce Donald Trump's dominance on the party. He'll tighten his grip with his 2 hand-picked nominees expected to easily clear the vote to become the 2 co-chairs. The top jobs in the party apparatus would go to North Carolina's party chair Michael Whatley and his daughter-in-law Lara Trump, with campaign advisor Chris LaCivitia destined to become the RNC's chief operating officer. What's still unclear, though, is whether Trump will compel the party to pay for his mounting legal fees. A resolution banning the party from paying Trump's tab has already failed to garner enough support. His former rival, Nikki Haley, who was competing with Trump for the Republican Party nomination before dropping out this week, has warned the RNC is going to become Trump's legal slush fund. His campaign has so far spent tens of millions of dollars on legal fees to defend the former president in civil cases and his upcoming 4 criminal trials. And he's already been ordered to pay more than $83 million in a defamation case and more than $453 million in his business fraud case. Nick Harper in Washington, reporting for DD India.
Video released on Thursday showed a United Kingdom-owned ship attacked by Houthi militants last month, sinking in the Red Sea. Belize-registered Rubimar is the first vessel lost since the Houthis began targeting commercial ships in November. Those drone and missile assaults have forced shipping firms to divert ships to the longer route around southern Africa, disrupting global trade by delaying deliveries and sending costs higher. The US military previously said the February 18th missile attack had significantly damaged the bulk vessel and caused an 18-mile oil slick. Israelis marked 5 months since the festival's attack, 5 months since Hamas rampaged to a rave festival, killing and kidnapping revelers. The families visited the site to remember the slain and the hostages and lit candles to pay tribute to them on one of the killing fields of the devastating Hamas attack on October 7th that sparked a war in Gaza. Russian attacks on Thursday killed 2 people in Ukraine's northeastern Kharkiv region and 1 person further west in Chernihiv region, local officials said. Oleh Sinubov, governor of Kharkiv region, said an attack by the multiple rocket launchers killed 2 people in Kupiansk, an area recaptured by Ukrainian forces, but where Russian forces are now active. In Chernihiv region, north of Kyiv, mortar fire killed 1 person, regional governor said. The UN Nuclear Watchdog's Board of Governors voted on Thursday to demand Russia withdraw from Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in a resolution passed days after the 2-year anniversary of the plant's capture by Russian troops. It was the board's 4th resolution condemning Russia's actions against Ukrainian nuclear facilities. The board called for urgent withdrawal of all unauthorized military and other unauthorized personnel from Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, and for the plant to be immediately returned to the full control of the competent Ukrainian authorities. The board also reiterated its grave concern that the Russian Federation has not heeded the previous calls to withdraw its military and other personnel from the power plant. All 6 of its reactors are shut down, but it still needs constant power to keep fuel in those reactors cool and prevent a potentially catastrophic meltdown. The IAEA, which has a small number of staff at Zaporizhzhia, says safety there remains precarious. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in his nightly address on Thursday that he had approved the candidacy of former Army Chief Valery Zaluzhny as the ambassador to Britain. Zaluzhny was replaced last month by Ground Forces Commander Alexander Syrsky. Also in his address, Zelensky said that conscripts who were called up for military service before the war began will be sent to the reserves. On Thursday, Zelensky also met British Defence Secretary Gant Shapps in Kyiv and said that he had expressed gratitude for Britain's intangible leadership in providing support to Ukraine and working together to counter Russian actions. Zelensky said priority areas of cooperation were boosting air defense, long-range weapons and artillery, and joint production of weapons, and bringing Russia to account.
I expressed gratitude for Britain's tangible leadership in providing security support to Ukraine, strengthening our defense and collaborating globally to defend against Russian aggression. Today we discussed our further cooperation. We have already reached a historical, unprecedented level of cooperation with Britain. By the way, it was with Britain that we signed the first bilateral security guarantees agreement. We must fully implement it for the sake of our collective strength.
Terror struck northeast Nigeria as gunmen kidnapped dozens of pupils in northern Nigeria on Thursday. Residents and parents of the missing children said in what would be the biggest abduction targeting a school since 2021. Police in Kaduna State did not immediately comment on the abductions, which happened shortly after morning assembly at the local government education authority school in the town of Kuriga. Parents said that on the arrival at the school, the gunmen started shooting sporadically before abducting dozens of pupils and disappearing into the bush. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, in a major amendment, French lawmakers make abortion a constitutional right. A near miss for passengers as United Airlines flight diverts to Los Angeles and lands safely after losing a tire mid-air. Panama has officially ratified the International Solar Alliance, marking its entry as the 97th member nation.
Proudly presenting women trailblazers of India. Out of the world achievements with many firsts to their credit, scripting history, breaking barriers and challenging stereotypes. Nothing in the world can limit women's ambitions and aspirations. Celebrating and saluting their laurels on International Women's Day. Extraordinary women and their extraordinary stories. Watch special broadcast She Breaking the Glass Ceiling, only on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Panama has officially ratified the International Solar Alliance, marking its entry as the 97th member nation. Panama's commitment to sustainable energy was underscored as Ambassador Yazil Burrello presented the instrument of ratification to Joint Secretary Economic Diplomacy Abhishek Singh during a meeting in New Delhi on Thursday. Now, this formal act solidifies Panama's pledge to collaborate within the framework of the ISA, joining other nations in pursuit of harnessing solar energy for a greener future. On March 5th, Malta became the 119th country to join the International Solar Alliance. The alliance was conceived as a joint effort by India and France. Currently, 118 countries are signatories to the framework agreement. Friday marks a historic day for French. Abortion rights will be officially enshrined in the country's constitution. A world's first. It comes after lawmakers voted overwhelmingly in favor of the amendment earlier this week. Tony Waterman has more from Paris.
The ceremony is happening here at Place Vendôme, which is one of Paris's 5 royal squares. And French President Emmanuel Macron is overseeing what is known as a sealing ceremony. This is a tradition reserved for only the most significant laws. And with this ceremony, access to abortion care will become a guaranteed freedom enshrined in the French Constitution. And of course, this is all happening on a very symbolic day. Friday is International Women's Day, and Macron very much wants this to represent his party's protection of women's rights. But critics have argued that this amendment isn't needed, that abortion access in France is not under threat, and that this is all political pandering by Macron's party ahead of June's EU elections, where the far right is expected to gain seats. Abortion has been legal here in France since 1975, and unlike the United States, there's never really been a major push to change that. But many people got spooked after a conservative U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in 2022, leaving tens of millions of women with little or no access to abortion care. The decision to amend the Constitution has really been cheered across the country, where roughly 90% of the population is in favor of this move. France now becomes the first country in the world to explicitly protect abortion access in its foundational document, with many here hoping that it will pave the way for other countries to follow suit. Tony Waterman in Paris, France, reporting for DD India.
The U.S. Department of Homeland Security says it has resolved an issue with its website and related domains that caused them to temporarily go down on Thursday. A Department of Homeland Security official said that there was no indication of malicious action in the outage, which occurred during President Biden's State of the Union address to Congress. The outage appeared to last less than half an hour. Other government websites, including those of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and the Secret Service, also experienced temporary outages. Thousands of families have got affected after torrential rains caused rivers to overflow in the Brazilian state of Acre, causing many regions of Brazil under a state of emergency. 75% of the city near the river has been affected by floods. Jordão has been the most affected by floods, as 80% of its population was forced to shelter, while heavy rains continued to flood the surroundings. Silenced Chiang Mai city officials ordered urgent measures to tackle forest fires and air pollution after the city hashed the world's most polluted region mark on Wednesday. Officials are still working to douse the fires, with 328 hotspots detected. The toxic haze covering several provinces in the northern region is evident from satellite images showing havoc in the region. The authorities advised residents of the smog-affected region to avoid outdoor activities. In the mountainous expanses of Turkmenistan's Kopet Dag National Reserve, the Ministry of Environment Protection has launched an initiative to maintain the ecosystem and ensure safe recovery of its inhabitants after the winters. The specially developed plan includes spreading grass on the territory of the reserve. Specialists from the reserve's research department expressed hope that the measures will help maintain balance in the ecosystem and biodiversity of the National Reserve. New York's Times Square welcomed Maha Shivratri. The world is realizing the significance of the great night of Lord Shiva's divine energies as a celebration of enhancing human potential and an opportunity for transformation. It is fascinating to see how traditions and rituals can hold deep significance for personal growth. The great night of Lord Shiva provides a sacred space for individuals to reflect on their inner selves and seek spiritual evolution. And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Germany faced strikes on several fronts as train drivers and airport workers walked off the jobs, causing chaos for millions of travelers and adding to the country's economic woes at a time of looming recession. At least 1,700 planned flights got cancelled on Thursday. Authorities warned that strikes were a factor that would lead to a higher than expected operating loss in the first 3 months of 2024. A United Airlines flight heading for Japan lost a tire mid-air following takeoff from San Francisco. The flight landed safely at Los Angeles International Airport. United Airlines said it is arranging for a new aircraft to continue the trip for the 249 people who were on board. Rome Zoo presented their new addition to the family, a Sumatran tiger cub. The baby tiger, named Kala, is a female born in early January inside the park. The Sumatran tiger, which lives in the tropical forest of the Indonesian island, is one of the 6 living subspecies most at the risk of extinction. There are only around 500 of them left in the world. A woman agent in South Peru rescued another victim of intense rains, a dog that got stranded in the torrent of a swollen river. The agent, who took the enterprise of saving the animal, tied a rope to her waist and stepped into the Seco River torrent to take the dog out. An unusual number of common guillemots, a seabird cousin of the penguins, have been found on French Atlantic shores. Over 500 birds have been found dead along the French Atlantic coast since the start of the year. Sea Shepherd volunteers who patrol the beaches say the number of dead seabirds is unprecedented. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, Prime Minister Modi to present National Creators Award in a short while from now, a launchpad for using creativity to drive positive change. Joint exercise between US Coast Guard and Indian Coast Guard, Sea Defenders 2024, to be held on 9th and 10th of March. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar addresses the Nikki Forum on India-Japan partnership.
Proudly presenting women trailblazers of India. Out-of-the-world achievements with many firsts to their credit, scripting history, breaking barriers and challenging stereotypes. Nothing in the world can limit women's ambitions and aspirations. Celebrating and saluting their laurels on International Women's Day. Extraordinary women and their extraordinary stories. Watch special broadcast She Breaking the Glass Ceiling only on DD India.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
Welcome to Chandigarh.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories once again. US President Joe Biden knocks his 2024 Republican opponent Trump over NATO. In his State of the Union address, Biden pledges support for Ukraine. US plans for temporary port on Gaza coast for aid delivery. Meanwhile, UN says aid to Gaza is obviously good. Terror strikes in northeast Nigeria. Suspected insurgents abduct dozens of pupils from school. The biggest abduction targeting a school since 2021. World celebrates International Women's Day, a day to celebrate the achievements of women in every field. This year's theme is Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress, and it is aimed at tackling economic disempowerment. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be presenting the first ever National Creators Award at Bharat Mandapam in the national capital in a short while from now. The National Creators Award is an effort to recognize excellence and impact across domains, including storytelling, social change advocacy, environmental sustainability, education, gaming, among others. The award is envisioned as a launchpad for using creativity to drive positive change. The award has witnessed immense public engagement, with more than 1.5 lakh nominations and around 10 lakh votes were cast. The award will be provided across 20 categories. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be visiting Assam's Kaziranga. But first, let us know what makes Kaziranga a unique national park and tiger reserve. TD India's Tapas Bhattacharya reports.
Welcome to Assam's pride, Kaziranga. In 1905, Kaziranga was designated as a game reserve, followed by a reserve forest status in 1908 and a game sanctuary in 1996. However, it wasn't until 1950 when it was declared a wildlife sanctuary that the hope for the survival of the rhino truly brightened. Subsequently, in 1974, it was upgraded to a national park spanning 429 square kilometers. Kaziranga attained the status of a tiger reserve in 2007, over 2 decades after it was recognized as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1985. Today, the Kaziranga Tiger Reserve spans 1,302 square kilometers, encompassing the central Assam districts of Golaghat, Nagaon, Sonipur and Viswanath. The name Kaziranga is believed to be originated from the language of Karbis, one of the oldest hill tribe in the region. Now, Kaziranga National Park is renowned for its diverse wildlife, often referred to it as a Big Five of Kaziranga. These includes the Indian elephant, rhinoceros, Royal Bengal tiger, Asiatic water buffalo and the eastern swamp deer. Each of these species played a crucial role in the ecosystem, and spotting them in their natural habitat is a thrilling experience for the visitors. The grace of the rhinoceros or the power of the Royal Bengal tiger, Kaziranga National Park promises an unforgettable journey into the heart of nature's wonder. With camera person Rahul Chopra, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for DD India from Kaziranga in Assam.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar addressed the Nikkei Forum on India-Japan partnership on Friday, in which he has asserted that both the countries today are convergent on the big picture and the key concerns, with improved inclination and ability to respond in a more coordinated manner. The minister said the partnership has identified more avenues for increased cooperation as well. He added that the ties will draw strength from our larger activities together, especially Quad. As the world, the Indo-Pacific and our two countries evolve, the minister said that in the India-Japan relationship lie many solutions for us nationally, for the region and for the world.
India-Japan ties will both draw strength from our larger activities together, especially from the Quad, but as well contribute to its effectiveness and to its breadth. The bottom line is that the world is changing, the Indo-Pacific is changing, India and Japan are changing. but that in our relationship, many solutions for us nationally as well as for the region and for the world lie there.
In a tweet, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar wrote, and I quote him, "Pleased to speak at the Nikkei Forum on India-Japan partnership. India and Japan today are convergent on the big picture and the key concerns. Our inclination and ability to respond in a more coordinated manner has also improved. Our partnership has identified more avenues for increased cooperation as well. Our ties will draw strength from our larger activities together, especially Quad." And from here, we take you live to Bharat Mandapam in the national capital. Prime Minister